You're joking, aren't you? It's the Teesside Chef.
The sugar-free chocolate muffins recipe that all the mums on the school run beg me for because of its health benefits for their little cherubs. They're a good bunch of socially conscious mothers, and even though most of them turn up to pick the kids up in their dressing gowns and slippers, I don't hold that against them. And the healthy sweetener in these moist and silky chocolate muffins is dried dates, and I'm chopping them here in half. There are two reasons for that. First, it makes the dates easier to blend in a food processor, which I'll be doing in a bit, but also to check for stones, and you can see that I've found one there. The stoning process can leave the odd date seed behind, and they can be quite dangerous, especially for kids, so definitely do check there are none lurking in there before pressing on with this recipe. I've decanted my chopped dates into the bowl of my food processor, and I'm going to add the wet ingredients to them now, and it is handy to do this first because it gives a chance for the wet ingredients to sort of soak into the dates a bit and make them easier to blend. I've gone in with 4 eggs, 500 millilitres of buttermilk, and this recipe will make 24, but I will put the amounts below in the description for 12. So I've added 200 millilitres of water in there and a teaspoon or 2 of vanilla extract. And I'll give that lot a little shake to cover the dates in the liquid before compiling my dry ingredients, starting with 360 grams of plain flour, and I'm going to sift the flour into the bowl. This will help us a little with the silky texture and will help incorporate a little air into the mix. Not much, but like a little bit. You don't need to sift your flour, I suppose, but you definitely do need to sift your unsweetened cocoa powder, and I'm going in with 90 grams now. And there will most probably be lumps in your cocoa powder, so don't miss out the sifting stage. And for my 24 muffins, I'm using 4 level teaspoons of baking powder and 2 level teaspoons of baking soda. And I'm sifting that in as well, just to be careful, because you usually do find 1 or 2 lumps in your baking powder. And I shall finish those dry ingredients with a good pinch of salt, and now I can give them a mix up to incorporate them well. And this will help with the overall mixing process later. And now the dry ingredients are done, we can crack on with the wet ingredients by blending them in our food processor. You want to start off slow and hold onto the jug really well, because this can be quite rough on your machine. And the most important thing to remember is to blend to the right consistency. We don't want to blend the dates to a pulp, as this will make the muffins too dense, and we also want to keep some of the insoluble fibre intact. The insoluble and soluble fibre in the dates acts as a mesh when ingested, so these muffins shouldn't spike the blood sugar of a room full of bloody kids quite so quickly. So once the date pieces are about the size of red lentils and the mix has thickened significantly, all there is to do is to add 200 grams of melted butter in, before blending together gently to incorporate, and our wet ingredients are done. It will be much easier, especially with this recipe, to add the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients rather than the other way around. So I'm pouring these wet ingredients into a large bowl before adding in half of the already stirred dry ingredients. And of course, with any muffin mix, you want to mix the dry and the wet ingredients together very gently. And you will notice that this muffin mix is much, much thicker than a traditional chocolate muffin mix. But don't worry. And as the second half of the dry ingredients go in, you can really see how thick it is now. And it is actually quite a job to mix it all in, especially with this recipe for 24 here. But don't be tempted to beat it together too roughly. It's still a muffin mix, and it will affect the overall texture if you beat too much during the mixing process. There is the thick texture, so don't panic when you see this. It's supposed to be like this, and we just need to fill our cases now, and I'm using a handy ice cream scoop to fill these, but a couple of tablespoons will do the job just as well, I suppose. And you can fill these muffin cases very generously, almost to the top. They won't explode and piss all over your oven, so don't worry. And when you've filled them, go around with a teaspoon and flatten down the mix to even it out. You can also take this opportunity to add or take off a little of the mix, so each muffin has an equal amount or thereabouts. These want to be baked in a well preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius fan setting, and that's about 360 Fahrenheit. I like to start the oven off at 200 fan and then turn it down to 180 when the muffins go in, and these will take around 18 to 20 minutes. They will have puffed up nicely, and these crown muffin cases aren't ideal for muffins really, but it was a personal request. They'll spring back when pressed on top, and a toothpick inserted will come out clean like this, but don't worry if you've got a crumb or two on there. Yeah, I did try to persuade the lucky recipient of these muffins not to use these crown muffin cases for her little princess's birthday, but she wasn't having any of it. So I did some in proper muffin cases just to show you how these will look when done without the whims of a perfectionist helicopter parent. And of course you want to see what it looks like inside, because I've been banging on about a silky moist texture, so let's crack one open and I'll show you. These muffins will stay moist longer than normal as those dried dates in there continue to pull moisture from the air. Healthy, sugar-free chocolate muffins. Thanks for watching, everyone. Sarah.